When you know it's time to plant outside is just by using this. That smell of spring are the microbes in the soil coming alive and starting to respire. They're eating the organic material in the soil, they're running around, they're exercising, and they're sweating. And that smell you get, that we call the smell of spring, is those microbes sweating. And they don't start doing that until the soil temperature is at 50 degrees. So that's your signal that you can go out and start sowing in the ground, as long as the soil is dry enough. In the meantime, if you want to do something, you can do some exercises. Here's an experiment I did with some kids, with my grandchildren. These are just pumpkins, and I sowed the seed against the outside of the glass so the kids can watch the pumpkin grow. They can watch the root coming down, the pumpkin coming up, and up close here, there's already the male flowers. And that's what happens with squash. The male flowers come out before the female flowers. So it's something to do to get you through these next 2 or 3 weeks before you can really start going crazy with gardening. The other thing you can do is take some cuttings. Now is the time your houseplants have noticed a change in sunlight. It's much more intense, and that's their signal to start growing again. So in this particular case, this is a Mandivia, and it's starting to send out sprouts. And you can take cuttings off of this plant and root them. And it's really simple to do. You wait until, and we'll see if we can find a nice one. Here's a nice one right here. See how this stem is about 5 inches long? So we can take a cutting off of this. We can actually take this and root it. When you are pruning, you always prune to a node. This is what happens when you're pruning correctly. This was the owner of this plant, who shall remain nameless, so I won't tell you my sister's name. She didn't prune it properly. She pruned it at, cutting off the flower, she pruned it right at the leaf here instead of underneath it, rather than on top. So as a result, none of this grew, it all died back. Right here at the nodes is where there are growth cells that are just hanging around wondering what to do. So I'm going to cut this off here. I'm going to cut this off here. Right here is an example of where that happened. This was pruned just above the node, and this right in the middle is the new shoot coming from where the old shoot was. So if you cut below the node, if you cut here and it's still attached to the plant, this piece will die. So you off with it, because nothing's going to happen. Now right here, I could already see some growth coming up right there, and I can see some new growth right over here. I'm going to take pot, fill it up with some soil, make it soaking wet. Because it has no water, no source, and no roots to draw water, I need to keep it as moist as possible. So what I'm going to do is make a mini greenhouse. It's just cutting the bottom off a milk container. This is a cutting I took a week ago, and you can see it's already growing, even just without roots. So I'll keep it covered for another week, and then I'll take this off and keep the soil wet, and after 2 or 3 weeks I'll start doing just a little tugging, tug, tug, tug. And when I'm tugging, the container moves. That means there are roots. So I will know that it's rooted, and then I won't need the container anymore. You can do that with geraniums. If you've brought your geranium plants in and you want to multiply them, take cuttings and do the same exact thing. Just always remember, they germinate, the roots grow from the node, and new shoots grow from a node. So if you want more shoots, you cut to the outside of the node. If you're going to do roots, you have to cut to the inside. That's where the meristem cells are, and that's where they'll produce the new growth. The other thing that I do this time of the year is take out my hand tools and sharpen them. This is the time to do it. You're looking for things to do anyway, so this is the time to do it. This is a pruning shear. This is an anvil pruner, in that the blade presses against the anvil, pinches the plant, the stem that you're cutting. It actually pinches it and seals it off. And this is the blade that needs to be sharpened. Go spend $1.50 at the hardware store for this little fishing hook sharpener. You just have to line it up with the angle. Some people like to push, some people like to pull, some people like to go in circles. It doesn't really matter. You just want to get it sharpened on one edge. Bypass pruner, I actually take this apart. This is a bypass pruner, and on this, the blade passes the anvil. bypass. That's where the expression comes. It passes by the anvil. So it actually slices. You always use this on live wood. You use this on things like roses and dead wood. Now's the time to do it. Sharpening your tools is more important than wiping the tools after you use them in the garden. So now is the time to take them all apart, sharpen them, clean them, put them back together. Summarize. Don't go crazy. Don't start too early. Visit your local nurseries and supermarkets and box retailers and check their seed stock. You don't have to buy them online. And then once you get them, relax. You still have a month before you have to go crazy.